Thank you for tuning in into another edition of Jeremy Sports Network. Hey you guys, we're going to talk about Kell Brook versus Errol Spence. It has now been confirmed that Kell Brook will fight Errol Spence on May the 20th in Sheffield, England. Man, if you guys been keeping up with this, at first it seemed as if Kell Brook was not interested at all in fighting Errol Spence. To me, I thought he was trying to duck Errol Spence due to the simple fact of all the hype that Errol Spence is bringing coming from the United States. Kell Brook was trying to run and not take on his mandatory, which is Errol Spence. But the thing is, when you look at it, we all know Errol Spence needed to fight because he's the number one contender for the IBF. But Kell Brook, after fighting Gennady Golovkin and putting up a great fight against Gennady, he wanted the big names. He was going after Amir Khan. He wanted to fight Amir Khan. He took it to social media, calling out Amir Khan. And Amir Khan told him straight up, hey, if we fight, I'm the A side. And Kell Brook wasn't liking that. But the thing is, now Kell Brook has came out publicly, took to his Instagram, his Twitter, and he basically called out Errol Spence and said he's not ducking and dodging nobody. That he's going to do what it takes in order for him to defend his IBF title. And so he told Errol Spence that he was up next. Now, because I've been following Errol Spence, and Errol Spence haven't said anything at all. All he said was, it's his time, strap season, hashtag man down. Errol Spence isn't for all the talking. I'm pretty sure right now Errol Spence is in the gym putting in work, and he's ready to make it happen. We know that a couple of weeks ago they tried to extend the purse bid. Eddie Hearn asked for the purse bid to be extended. So we knew right then and there we were going to get a fight, but we didn't know what was all going to happen. Now the details they're saying going in this fight that it's going to be a 70-30 split. 730 going to the A side, which will be Kell Brook. 30% of it will be going to Errol Spence. But right now, those are all speculations. We will have those numbers enclosed in for you guys later in another video. But right now, I want to look at how this fight is going to happen. You got 36-1 Kell Brook taking on a hot 21-0 with 18 knockouts, young Errol Spence Jr. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, Errol Spence, he hasn't fought anybody. He's running. He's not running, but he hasn't fought anybody that's a good quality opponent in order for him to fight a Kell Brook. But he's the number one mandatory fighter for Kell Brook. He beat Leonard Bundy. Literally, by knockout. I mean, his last 7 fights with TKO. Seriously, his last 7 was TKO by knockout. And I'm finna go through the list and the names of those fighters. Leonard Bundy, Chris Algieri, Alejandro Barrera, Chris Van Heerden. The next good name on there is Samuel Vargas, who is pretty much done, and Francisco Javier Castro. Those are a few names that Errol Spence have fought, but he was trying to get big names like Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Kell Brook. And now he has this opportunity to go against Kell Brook, and everybody's thinking right now from me listening to my TBV podcast and all the fans that's out there that do listen to the TBV podcast, they were thinking that Kell Brook is going to win. If you just do the eye test alone, matter of fact, let's not even go to the eye test yet. We're going to talk about the eye test a little bit later. But right now, I want to get in the simple fact of, let's go down the list of names for Kell Brook. This is why Kell Brook has a nice resume, and he's trying to go after big names and land the big money fights because he has a great resume. I mean, when you're 36-1 and your only loss came to a stoppage to Gennady Golovkin, and you put up a good fight against Gennady Golovkin for those first few rounds, hey, I don't know what to say. I don't know who to choose, as time goes on and permits itself, as they get into training camp and start working, then maybe I will come up with who's going to win this fight. But as of right now, I'm only going to go off the eye test, and off the eye test is telling me that Errol Spence is going to win this fight. And the only reason why I say that is because if we go back and we look at when Kell Brook fought Sean Porter, because a lot of people are not going to know Kevin Bazir or Frankie Gavin, the two fighters that Kell Brook fought before he fought Gennady Golovkin. Nobody's going to know about those names. But when we go to that Sean Porter, when Sean Porter was the IBF World Champion and he fought Kell Brook beat him. Sean Porter has not been back to fight for the IBF title against Kell Brook. And Kell Brook looked really good against Sean Porter. Can Kell Brook do the same thing that he did with Sean Porter to Errol Spence? Sean Porter's bigger than Errol Spence to me, physique-wise. So it seems as though Kell Brook will be able to kind of control Errol Spence like he was able to control Sean Porter in that fight. But man, it's tough because you want to give the benefit of the doubt to Kell Brook because he's looked really good in his past few fights, even though he took that loss to Gennady Golovkin. But Errol Spence, hands down, to me, the way he's been winning his fights, and when you're 21-0 with 18 knockouts, it's like, okay, is he going to knock out that other eye socket of Kell Brook? It remains to be seen. We don't know. All we know is now we are able to get this fight. This is the fight that the fans wanted. The fans of boxing needed this fight right here. And Kell Brook, this fight should have already been happening right now. We should have been getting this fight like sometime in March, honestly. But with Kell Brook trying to go after big names like Amir Khan and those guys, hey, this is where we at right now. So this is a great opportunity for Errol Spence to go ahead and win the title and now punch his ticket into landing those big fights for the WBC title against Keith Thurman. After Keith Thurman fights Danny Garcia, or that 147-pound division is getting real tight right now with a lot of these names that are out there. Kell Brook, see, he just went up. Kell Brook went up in weight to fight Gennady Golovkin. So he did not lose his title to Gennady Golovkin. I want people to understand that Kell Brook took a chance and went up in weight to fight Gennady Golovkin, which he probably, if he would have beat Gennady Golovkin, he would have vacated those titles. He would have vacated the IBF title. But now since you lost to Gennady Golovkin and you still have the IBF title, now you have no choice but to fight your mandatory. And now we're going to be able to get the fight that we need as fans in order for people to continue to enjoy boxing. And this right here is one of those fights. Now, we was talking about the eye test earlier. Just off my eyes alone, when we watch, if you go back, just go on YouTube, whatever, and look up Errol Spence and just watch this man highlights. He is a technician when it comes to going to the body and finishing off at the head. It is scary what Errol Spence can do. Yes, in the first few rounds in a couple of fights, he's a little bit jittery, but like once he's calm and he's in that ring moving, hey, Errol Spence is a force to be reckoned with. But it's the same. It was the same hype and build up, like Keith Thurman said. Everybody was when Keith Thurman was on the come up in the welterweight division, dropping everybody. Everybody was saying, "Hey, well, Keith Thurman was calling out Floyd Mayweather. He won't Floyd. He won't Floyd." But Floyd told him, it's levels to it. It's a reason why I haven't fought a Keith Thurman yet. And it's a reason why now, since time has went on, that Keith Thurman hasn't fought a Errol Spence yet. But Errol Spence now has a great opportunity to punch his ticket in if he defeats Kell Brook on May the 20th for the IBF title. Who is going to want to fight this man? Especially if he win in dramatic fashion. And that's the thing. Can Errol Spence destroy Kell Brook? If he runs through Kell Brook the way that we're thinking the way that I'm thinking he's going to run through Kell Brook, just based upon my eye test, boy, they better get ready in that 147-pound division. But the thing is, what I'm going to put this out there real quick for people, because nobody's really talking about this, and I'm just moving a little bit further ahead in the future. Adrian Broner defeats Adrian Granados, right, at 147 pounds, because they're fighting at 147 pounds because Adrian Broner wanted to move that fight up in weight. If Adrian Broner go ahead and defeat Adrian Granados, which we believe that's what's going to happen, and then once May come around, May 20th, and Errol Spence defeats Kell Brook, especially by knockout, and wins the IBL title, do Adrian Broner slide in and get an opportunity to fight Errol Spence for that IBF championship? Because Floyd Mayweather, if you all been paying attention, last year, if I recall, was saying that he would want to see Errol Spence versus Adrian Broner. That fight right there could definitely put up some money, definitely be box office at the MGM Grand, and it'll be a world title fight. And it'll be a good fight for boxing. But that's just jumping a little further into the future. But I'm going to put that out there because nobody's actually talking about that right now. If Errol Spence does beat Kell Brook, does Errol Spence defend that title against Adrian the Problem Broner? That's what I want to see. But like I said, this is just an immediate reaction video to Errol Spence Jr. versus Kell Brook going down on May 20th in Sheffield, England. It's going to be awesome. This is a fight that we as boxing fans have been waiting for, and hopefully Errol Spence Jr. comes out on top, because he's a young stud, man. I've been following Errol Spence Jr., man, and his road to fighting for a world title is now here, and I really hope that Errol Spence can make things happen so that he can now be a contender in the 147-pound division, and we can see now who's going to run, who's going to duck, who's going to dodge, and do whatever it is to stay away from Errol Spence. There's only one way to find out. And it's also gives Sean Porter another opportunity if he doesn't get a title fight or a title shot anytime soon, because right now Sean Porter's talking about he wants to fight the winner of Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia. But if he doesn't get that opportunity, does he now fights for the IBF title again against Errol Spence? So it's a lot of things that's out there. We're going to iron everything out for you guys. But right now, this is an immediate reaction video, like I said. And this is Jeremy Sports Network. We're going to continue to bring you guys nothing but the best when it comes to sports. Make sure you tune in. It's Jeremy Sports Network. I'm out. Peace.